You didn't fall in love with him. You fell in love with who he could be, not who he was, who he might become, if everything went the way you hoped. At first it seemed small. A promise here, a compliment there. A moment of connection that made you believe. He could be the person you wanted, the person you dreamed about, the one who would show up consistently, communicate honestly, and treat you like you mattered every day. And so you held on to that version. Even when reality didn't match, you told yourself, I see the good in him, I see his potential, and for a moment that felt enough. Think about the small things you excused. He promised to call, and didn't. He said he cared, but disappeared when you needed him. He forgot important dates, but you convinced yourself it was just a rough patch. You remember the times he almost showed up perfectly, the moments that gave you hope, that kept you believing. You imagined him sending the right texts, saying the right words, showing the love he could give, if only he tried a little harder. And every time he fell short, you whispered to yourself, next time will be different. He's capable of being that man. You told yourself the story over and over, trying to see him as you wanted him to be, rather than who he really was. Here's the painful truth. Potential is not real. It doesn't exist in the present. It's a dream, a maybe, a what could be. You can't build a life around maybe. You can't invest your heart in a version of him that only exists in your imagination. Every day you waited for him to become someone he wasn't. You were giving your love to a possibility, not a person. And that's the problem, because the longer you hoped, the more you opened yourself to disappointment. The harder you hoped, the more it hurt. You noticed the gaps, the inconsistencies, the missed chances. But your heart kept holding on to that glimmer of hope. He didn't change, he didn't try harder, he didn't show up. And every disappointment, every time you were let down, you blamed circumstances, timing, or yourself. You wondered, am I asking too much? Am I too sensitive? Maybe he just can't do this yet. But deep down, you already knew the truth. The man you fell in love with never really existed. Because potential isn't reality. You can't build something real on who someone might become. Love isn't about hoping someone will change. It's about seeing who they are and deciding if that is enough. And here's what you learn when you finally face it. Only what he consistently does matters. Only his actions, his choices, his presence show you who he truly is, not promises, not words, not dreams. Reality doesn't ask you to imagine. It shows up, or it doesn't. That's where real love begins. Not in potential, not in what could be, but in reality. When you stop hoping for him to be someone else, you open yourself up to seeing the truth. And the truth is the only thing that can set you free. So if you catch yourself holding on to someone, ask yourself, am I in love with him, or with who I wish he could be? Because the answer will tell you everything.